Recently, I've been watching videos that compared Sweden and USA, showing all the great things about Sweden and how it is to live there. And I'm going to be watching another one today. This is called 5 Things I Hate About the US after moving to Sweden. So I've watched a couple of this guy's videos, really enjoyable. It's good to hear an American's experiences and viewpoints on Sweden. Really learning a lot about the country through these videos, so go subscribe to his channel. I'll leave the link in the description. We watched these 5 things and you can tell me what you think about them.
Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew coming at you. In this one, we're going to talk about 5 things I hate about America. Now, hate is a very strong word, but I gotta say I hate these 5 things. Now, no, I do not hate my country. I love my country and I want to see it succeed. It's where I come from, so let's just get that cleared out of the way. But there are 5 things that I think are absolutely hurting our country and making it worse, and I would like to see us get better as a society. And like it or not, America is an important country in the whole global scheme of things. So let's all talk about these 5 things and tell me what you think. The number one thing I hate has to be the two-party system. I believe that the two-party system, only having 2 80-year-old dudes you can vote in, like this next election, which is going to be Trump and Biden, it's hurting America. It creates a us and them mentality. And how can a country that's so diverse, the most diverse country in the world, has so many different groups of people in it, only have 2 ideas to pick from? And I think we would be way more less like us and them mentality if you had 5 political parties: a far right, a more center right, a center party, a more center left, and then a far left, and you would have 5 different parties right there. This would be great, and that's not even including the Green Party or independents. This would create a situation with less hostility and actually get more ideas in there. I also think it would create a situation where you'd have a bunch of different political parties that would have to work together, find a way to work together, and fix certain policies in the U.S. I think it would be better for government overall. But you got a problem in a situation where you got Democrats and Republicans. They don't want to give up their power. And if you even look at all the presidential elections over the years, besides the one where we had Ross Perot, if you're a president political candidate and you're not a Democrat and you're not a Republican, TV networks don't want you on. And it kind of feels like the last couple years, the elections has all been about ratings, TV ratings, and not necessarily about what's best for the country. And I don't think there's one American out there that is so diehard Republican or so diehard Democrat that they don't want to have more political parties. It's something we got to do. It drives me nuts. The number 2.
Yeah, I think there definitely is hardcore Republicans and Democrats who only want a 2-party system because they know if there was more parties, it would dilute their party's votes. I agree with him, but I agree that it's very divisive. You see that especially in America, having this 2-party system. It doesn't just divide people politically. People are so divided in America. It's just crazy. It's like a really sad situation for what America used to be until it is now. And a big part of that is politics that causes that. What's this situation like in Sweden? Obviously, you have more parties in Sweden. What do people vote for? Who have people been voting for recently in Sweden, and why? It's the same in the UK. Ours is more a system like this, where it's more of a 2-party system. There is other parties, but they don't really get much influence in the overall Great Britain. But definitely that's something the US need, and it's good that Sweden has something like this. But are you happy with who has been leading Sweden over the last couple of years, couple of decades? Does your system work?
The thing I hate about the United States is our news media. It is absolutely disgusting. It is a ratings-based news media. And the thing is, the media isn't honest with you. And before people start freaking out at me, all you got to do is look at who donates to the media. And you see that you got prescription drug companies, NRA. It's basically lobbyists. So this creates an incentive for the news media to not talk about certain stories, to push certain narratives. We don't have like a publicly funded news network. And when you take a look at this from when I look at Sweden, for example, yes, Sweden has many different types of news. I've seen far-right news, left news. But if you're just watching the regular news, yes, there are biases in it. But I feel like that they are more fair when they talk about the news and less sensational. I don't feel like when I'm watching Report on television here in Sweden that they are so concerned with the ratings that they're making every single every single thing sensational. It doesn't mean that Sweden doesn't have these type of things where these news that's kind of like garbage news media. But in the US, it is just all about a click. It's kind of a consequence of the internet in a sense, but that is one side of things. Number two, when a crazy person goes in with a thing that goes boom, they're always showing that person's face because ratings. You look at Donald Trump. CNN's going to have Donald Trump on recently because of ratings, because they want to have the ratings. And they don't necessarily do what's best for the country either. All they care about is eyes, views, and it's capitalism, baby. I get it. But I think that that's not what the American people need. And even if you look at like political commentary on these channels or debates, it just becomes a cesspool of getting that gotcha moment. Ooh, I said something and I got you, and then it's clippable and you're going to see it on TikTok or YouTube. And then I don't really feel like there's any real discussion or sharing of ideas. It's just talking points, and it's destroying political discussion and debate in America.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. Like, the thing is, America's a great country, but these two things are things that are not great about the country, and they're exactly similar to Britain as well. Like, politics in the media are just two terrible things in the UK as well. It's good to hear that Sweden has it a bit better. What do you think? Do you agree with that? Do you think the media in Sweden, can you get fairer journalism, more like less opinionated pieces, less trying to push it to right or left? Definitely in the UK, it's going the same as the US, trying to become more controversial, trying to like push things to a certain narrative, a certain political ideology, or a certain way on the political spectrum. How is it in Sweden? Are you happy with the media, the news media in Sweden?
The number three thing I hate about the U.S. after living in Sweden for so long has to be our complete and total lack of compassion. You know, I don't really know what happened because, and I will say this, I still think Americans are very, very charitable, but I've changed my perspective. I used to think, wow, Americans are so charitable, we just donate, until I realized half the stuff we're donating to is like medical bills when, you know, Jeff Bezos is rolling around in his $500 million yacht, that our priorities seem to be a little bit screwed up. It feels like, in particular, that something has happened over the last couple of years where we kind of look at each other with less compassion and we dehumanize each other. I guess it makes sense in this two-party system when Democrats are always calling the Republicans idiots, racist, these kind of names, and then you got the Republicans calling them names. You hear libtards, you hear all these different things. They're dehumanizing people that are transgender or LGBTQ, and this total lack of compassion of not looking at each other like they're humans and sitting down at a table and having discussion is destroying the country, destroying the politics, and creating, again, an us and them mentality. I think we would benefit so much more from trying to understand each other and have compassion. You know, what I like about America, or love about America at this point, is that we have so many different people and that you can kind of do your own thing and you can make your own life for yourself. And people, for the most part, will let you do your thing. There are people out there that just want to exist. That's it. They just want to exist. And then you have people saying they can't exist, or dehumanizing them, or purposely dead naming them for some cases. I just don't get it. To me, just let people be, let people live. Like, religious freedom, go do it. You want to go to a mosque, do it. You want to go to a church, go for it. You want to be gay, go for it. You want to be transgender, go for it. I do not care. And this total lack of compassion is really hurting America, and it's selfish and it's wrong. And personally, I see it on both sides. Maybe one side I see particularly more than others, but that's up for you to decide and not what I'm trying to do in this video. I'm just saying, man, if we could just try to walk a mile in others' shoes. I know that sounds hyperbolic or whatever, but seriously, if we could just try to understand each other more, I think we would be better as a society. And going...
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, like, definitely. Do you think it's different in Sweden? Do you think people are less likely to name call and things like that as well, like become so entrenched in their views that they just abuse people who don't agree with them and things like that? Do people in Sweden have that compassion for other Swedish people? Has it changed over the last couple of years? I know obviously there's issues with immigration and things like that as well. Has people's political beliefs changed? Has people's personalities changed because of that?
Off that lack of compassion, the things that go boom. Number 4, I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate that people have to live in fear in the United States because the NRA needs to lobby and politicians want to turn the other way. This needs to change. And if you don't think this needs to change because you need to have your little LARP going on, I mean, I feel like half of Americans are LARPing with their assault weapons, like they're going to use it for in-home defense, which makes no sense. You don't want to be firing a high-capacity magazine and a high-capacity round inside your home, especially if you're trying to protect your family. But this idea of doing nothing, this lack of compassion for others, that you just hope that it's not your kid, you know? You just hope it's not your kid. You just hope that it's not your loved one, and you just bury your head in the sand. That's been the U.S. strategy. Bury the head in the sand. Just hope that nobody you care about is affected, you know? But in my life, I can think of like 4 people that I know that have been affected by things that go boom. Some have been unalive. Some have been injured. And when it starts to happen to people that you know and care about, it starts to change your opinion. And that's where that lack of compassion comes in. People shouldn't have to live in fear. Kids should be able to go to school. We can find a common ground. We can find something that makes common sense. I feel like there's so many people out there, they just want to win. They just want to win at all costs, instead of trying to find some common ground. And on this issue, we can't seem to do it, although the majority of Americans want change. I do believe change is coming on that one, but it's something that I absolutely hate about America. Number 5.
Yeah, tell me what you think about that. Obviously, the USA has that reputation for having these issues with guns. What is gun control like in Sweden? Are you allowed to own a gun? What's the process for getting one? Has it ever been fully legalized? What's the situation? That's something I know very little about with regards to Sweden.
5. The number 5 thing I hate about America is money in politics. I mean, if you're just thinking about it off the top of the head, like, what is it? Nancy Pelosi, probably the greatest stock trader in history. I'm sorry, her husband. Nothing shady about that, by the way. But all these politicians that, first of all, I don't believe that politicians should be allowed to own stock. I think they should have some type of mutual fund that they can buy into that's a collection of stocks that someone else manages, and that they cannot buy individual stocks while they're in Congress. You shouldn't get into Congress for money to begin with. You should get into Congress as a civil duty. It shouldn't be something where you're a career politician. In my opinion, you should maybe be a politician for no longer than 10 years. It should be something that's passed on. The career politician thing doesn't work, in my opinion. And then number 2, the lobbyists, because so many career politicians, they get elected and then they want to just keep getting reelected, so they don't actually make change. They don't actually rock the boat or do things because they want to keep the status quo going. They don't really listen to their voters as much as they listen to those that are giving them money. So that means if the NRA is giving me millions of dollars, I'm probably not going to do something or vote against something that's going to go against the NRA. When the prescription drug companies are funding my political campaign, I'm probably going to look the other way when a couple of people get unalived because they were on pain medication. This is another thing that happens in the United States. The money in politics is what is destroying our country. If we need politicians to stand up, it's crazy to me that we don't have more politicians standing up and going, okay, let's take this out. Does everybody agree? And then those that don't agree should get voted out. I don't think there's any American that thinks it's great that there's money in politics, or that you have think tanks. You have billionaires spending money on both sides, mind you, Democrat and Republican, to keep us divided, to keep us fighting with each other, and suddenly they take more property. Suddenly something else happens. They get us to look the other way. The markets crash, they get us arguing with each other, they swoop up a little bit more. Suddenly it costs more money to buy a home. We're not stupid, guys. This money in politics thing needs to stop, because you cannot have a democracy when it doesn't actually work to serve the people. And we are seeing this time and time again. And it's not just in the United States. We're seeing this in other Western countries as well, politically. But nowhere near to the same extent. But we are seeing some levels of the corruption, and we're seeing some levels of money in politics. But I personally believe that if this continues and continues to happen, you will lose your democracy. It'll crumble. It almost happened. And I believe that the Trump wave is nothing more than a result of the fact that the middle class has been getting screwed for years and years and years. They listened to his message. He got elected. And you saw the danger there of our democracy. So I think our democracy's at risk. And until we make these changes, we could slip into a dictatorship at any time. I do not believe it's going to happen. I believe that we're on the right track. I think that it's inevitable that change is happening just based on the amount of young people I've talked to, how I've seen young people respond to things that are happening in this country, not in the country I'm in now because I'm in Sweden, but in the U.S. And again, just being out of the United States for so long has allowed me to see my country in a different light. So I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did,
Yeah, so interesting. I guess all of the points come back to back to politics, really. And I think it's kind of known that America has that issue with politics. It's just a very unique system and setup. Everything from the presidential election, the run up to that, all the parade and pomp of it, and to getting people into power like Trump and Biden. I'm sure there can be like a lot of more younger, innovative, hungry, intelligent leaders that could be potentially there, but for some reason they're not. But yeah, I guess it's really a comparison between US politics and Swedish politics. So is Swedish politics really that better? Is it less corrupt? Do you have better politicians? Do you have a better system with that lack of a two-party system, having more parties available? What do you think about the Swedish political system? Maybe that's something I'll learn more about soon. But yeah, tell me what you think about this video. Thanks.